when you are dealing with an immigrant, you clearly sense and see the difference in attitude. You clearly sense and see the difference in the kind of effort that they are willing to put in, because they're migrated to a new country to make a life for themselves. They don't have too many friends, or even if they do, but they're still there to make a life for themselves and their families. So the amount of effort that they're willing to put in, the kind of hard work that they are willing to put in, uh, not a lot of locals end up doing that, and especially in so-called um, developed nations, simply because they've kind of grown up in a very protective environment, whereas the hunger for doing more, for being more, for reaching for more is a lot more prevalent in immigrants and their first generation of their families as well. So even that is kind of very different in terms of how you deal with the first generation immigrant to a second generation immigrant to someone who was born and brought up in the same country as well. And this is not just at a cultural level. I think it also has a significant impact in terms of how a business deals with its customers. So, for example, a McDonald's, when they come to India, they have to have a vegetarian menu, because there is a huge population in India which considers vegetarian food as their only source of food. And so they have to create an aloo tikki burger along with their regular cheeseburger as well. And if they don't do that, they don't succeed. They end up struggling. And there are many such examples that can come to mind where and a multinational company tried to kind of use what worked in one of their homegrown markets and trying to bring the same template to some of these other cultures and falling flat on their face.
I mean, yeah, so another, I think, good example of an organization sort of complying with the economic and cultural realities of the market they currently exist in would be, I think, Unilever. When you look at their business practices in Indonesia and Africa, where they produce localized versions of their popular product because of the economic pressures faced by the majority of people in these countries. For example, uh, instead of buying a full bottle of shampoo, they often sell single-use sachets of shampoo and soap, which is more attainable for a daily wage laborer uh, in Africa or in Indonesia, because their wages does not allow them an opportunity, to save up enough money to buy a full bottle. And this really shows some respect for the cultural reality and social reality of the people living in those contexts. And this recognition of sort of consumption practices from an anthropological point of view is, I think, in line with Apudurai's notion on how global commodities sort of gain local lives and how it's. And I think it's really important for each and every, if you're selling to any consumer in any part of the world, you need to understand their local realities and their uh, local systems, because it's not, cultural differences are not a isolationist uh, being, right? So just because you understand the hierarchical aspect of the culture doesn't mean you understand that's enough for you to go and sell, because everything is codependent within the culture. For example, let's say you're in a strict hierarchical culture like India. Over there, time orientation for people who have higher hierarchy is less important than people with lower hierarchy. For example, in India, we have a joke about the Indian Standard Time, which is, you can say you start an event at 8, but really, if the elders or people at a higher hierarchy position will probably not be there at 8. They'll roll in an hour and a half later, because they believe that they are given that luxury. So in order to, so if you're planning an event or a organizational event for C levels in India, you can't expect them to be on time. Versus in Germany, where hierarchy is a bit more flat, being punctual is seen as a sign of respect. Whereas in India, having the ability to not be punctual is seen as a sign of power. And this is a small example of how a lot of these cultural systems are interconnected. Be it communication, be it trust, be it expectations of work and how much work and deliverables. They change culture to culture, and you need to holistically understand a culture if you're entering that new market and getting in a relationship with those consumers.